The galaxy had forgotten what fear felt like. For hundreds of years, the great empires ruled the stars, dividing systems, building fleets, and fighting over power. Humanity had vanished long ago, or so they believed. The humans' home systems were marked on every map as dead space, a forbidden zone filled with wrecks and silent moons. But greed often makes even the proud forget warnings. It began with a council meeting of the largest empire in the galaxy, the Valoran Dominion. Their scientists spoke of hidden human technology, buried deep in their old territory. "If we can recover it," said one of them, "we could rule every star." The Emperor smiled, seeing only glory ahead. So the order was given. A grand fleet would enter human space and claim what once belonged to Earth's descendants. 50 warships gathered near the edge of the frontier. They moved past the last known beacon, where a long-dead satellite floated aimlessly. It bore faded letters that none of them could read, property of the Terran Defense Command. Some laughed, calling it ancient trash. Others looked uneasy but followed their orders. As the fleet entered the sector, their scanners showed nothing alive. Just drifting metal, cold planets, and the remains of cities carved into asteroids. The silence of human space was heavy. The ship's captains whispered over private channels, wondering why the humans had fallen. Some said they destroyed themselves. Others said they left the galaxy long ago. But one captain, a young Valoran named Sarek, noticed something strange. His radar picked up ghost signals, faint pings that vanished the moment he tried to lock on. "Interference," his commander said. "Ignore it," so Sarek stayed silent. But the feeling in his chest grew heavier with every passing hour. 12 hours into the mission, one of the smaller ships, the Vraxen, reported movement in the asteroid field ahead. The commander ordered it forward to investigate. Cameras showed nothing but dust and rock. Then, without warning, the feed cut to black. The Vraxen disappeared from radar. No explosion, no distress signal, just gone. Confusion spread through the fleet. They scanned the area again, but there was no wreckage. "Maybe they jumped," one officer suggested. "Maybe their engines failed." But deep down, everyone knew something was wrong. The silence around them felt too heavy, too alive. An hour later, a strange signal echoed across all channels. It was not in any known alien language, yet somehow everyone understood it. A cold voice said, "Turn back." Laughter broke out among some of the crew. "A human ghost story?" They joked. "The ruins are talking now?" The commander of the fleet, Grand Admiral Yoral, smiled and ordered a system-wide scan. "Let them try to scare us," he said proudly. "We are the Dominion. We fear no one." The scan revealed nothing, but as the ships advanced deeper, their navigation systems began to flicker. The stars around them seemed to dim. It was as if something was bending light itself. The engineers struggled to adjust, but the systems kept failing one by one. Suddenly, the main communications array caught a signal so strong it nearly overloaded. The image that appeared on their main screen froze every heart on the bridge. A massive shape drifted out from behind an asteroid. It was an enormous warship, ancient and scarred, with human markings still visible along its hull. TDS Retribution. The ship's design was unlike anything in the modern galaxy, sharp, predatory, with rows of silent cannons along its sides. It did not move aggressively. It simply floated there as if watching. The commander's voice cracked as he ordered all ships to ready weapons. But before they could fire, the human dreadnought came to life. Its engines glowed white-hot, brighter than any star. The darkness of space filled with its hum, deep, thunderous like a heartbeat. Every alien ship locked their guns on it. Yoral shouted, "Fire!" Dozens of plasma bolts and missiles streaked through the void. The blast struck the human ship directly and vanished. The energy rippled across an invisible shield that shimmered like liquid glass. The Retribution did not move. Then a single light appeared on its hull, a targeting beam. It locked onto the nearest alien battleship. There was no warning, no countdown. A blinding flash erupted and the alien vessel disappeared. Not exploded, erased. The space it occupied turned into a cloud of vapor and burning debris. Panic filled the comms. "We are under attack. Shields failing. It is targeting us." Yoral tried to retreat, but the coordinates on his map twisted like static. Every jump point had vanished. Human space was now closed. Sarek, watching from his ship's bridge, could barely breathe. The dreadnought was moving slowly, methodically, turning toward the rest of the fleet. His hands shook as he whispered, "They were never gone. One by one, more human ships appeared behind it, sleek, angular vessels awakening from the asteroid field like sleeping beasts. Their engines burned orange, reflecting off the shattered rocks around them. The galaxy's invaders realized they had walked into a graveyard that was never empty. The retribution sent one final broadcast before firing again. The voice was calm, emotionless, human. "You have entered our home. You should not have." The last thing Admiral Yorel saw before his command ship disintegrated was the human emblem, glowing on the dreadnought's hull. A broken Earth surrounded by wings of fire. The rest of the fleet scattered in panic. Some tried to flee, some begged for mercy. But human space had already closed around them, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy remembered what fear truly meant. The attack shattered the galaxy's arrogance. Out of 50 warships, only 20 remained intact. The rest drifted as wrecks in the cold dark, their hulls torn open by weapons no one had ever seen before. Commander Sarek watched from his trembling ship as fragments of burning metal floated past the windows. Somewhere in the distance, the human dreadnought moved slowly among the debris, scanning, studying, almost like a predator inspecting its prey. Every few minutes, a pulse of light flashed across its surface. Calm, deliberate, powerful. "Why are they doing this?" one of Sarek's lieutenants whispered. "We came for their ruins, not for war." Sarek did not answer. Deep inside, he already knew. Humanity was not gone. Humanity had been watching. The fleet tried to regroup. Admiral Yorel's second-in-command, a veteran named Chiron, took charge and ordered the surviving ships to retreat to the nearest jump point. But when they tried to activate the warp drives, the systems failed. The jump network was blocked. Human technology had sealed them in. "Impossible," one engineer muttered, sweat rolling down his scaled face. "They are controlling the entire sector. We have never seen power like this." Then came the signal. It was a faint, distorted message intercepted from the human dreadnought. The translation AI struggled to interpret it, but one line came through clearly. "Protocol Sigma. Active." "Observe and adapt." The bridge fell silent. It sounded like a military order, but from when? Humanity had been gone for centuries. Sarek's curiosity overcame his fear. He accessed the ship's historical archive, searching for any reference to that phrase. He found something old, classified recordings from 1,000 years ago, from the last war humanity fought before disappearing. They called it the Frontier Rebellion. The files described experiments, weapons, and defense networks so advanced that most alien scientists believed they were myths. But the most chilling document was a single paragraph from a human admiral's final report. "If the enemy ever crosses into our domain again, let the machines wake. Let them remember the war. Let them teach fear." Sarek's hands trembled. "They left behind guardians," he whispered. "Machines that still follow orders." Before he could tell the others, another alert flashed on the screen. Something was moving beneath the surface of the nearest asteroid. Sensors picked up structures buried deep inside the rock. Metal tunnels, reactors, signal towers. They had mistaken them for ruins. The asteroid cracked open like an egg. From its core rose a smaller human vessel, sleek and silver, alive with blue energy veins. Its weapons glowed faintly like a predator's eyes adjusting to light. It aligned itself with the human dreadnought. Then, without a sound, both ships turned toward the survivors. Karen shouted across the comms, "All ships prepare to fight. Target the smaller one first." The fleet fired everything they had. Plasma bolts, torpedoes, ion beams. The void lit up like a burning sun. But every shot bent around the human ships, their energy absorbed or deflected. It was as if the air itself rejected harm. Then the smaller vessel answered. It did not fire a missile or beam. Instead, it released a pulse. Every alien ship's systems went offline at once. Lights dimmed, controls froze, engines went silent. Sarek's heart pounded. His crew panicked, pressing buttons, shouting commands. The ship drifted helplessly, blind in the dark. On the main screen, one line of text appeared, written in perfect human English. "Do not resist. We are studying you." And then, the systems came back. Karen's ship was gone. No explosion, no debris, nothing. Just empty space where it once was. The remaining crews screamed into their comms, demanding answers. None came. Only static, and faintly through the noise, the sound of breathing. Sarek forced himself to focus. "They are testing us," he said quietly. "They are learning how we react." One of his lieutenants looked at him, eyes wide. "Like we are an experiment?" "Yes," Sarek replied. And soon they will finish studying. Suddenly, new signals filled the radar. Dozens of human ships appeared, warping in with impossible precision. They did not use jump drives. They simply appeared as if space itself had opened for them. The alien crews stared at their screens in disbelief. The human fleet formed a perfect line, silent, organized, and motionless. Their ships bore markings from old human nations, the Terran Union, the Pacific Command, the Mars Frontier. Time had erased those names, but the machines remembered. A calm human voice echoed across every channel. "This is the Terran Defense Network. You are trespassing in restricted space. You have violated the ceasefire. You will be erased." The voice was not angry. It was emotionless, mechanical, and absolute. The aliens tried to surrender. Messages of peace flooded out, begging for mercy, claiming ignorance. But there was no reply. The human ships began to move, slow, graceful, unstoppable. The first volley of human weapons cut through the fleet like light through glass. Energy beams sliced ships apart without a sound. The explosions were bright, beautiful, and terrifying. Sarek watched as one of his friend's ships vanished into dust. His throat tightened, but he refused to look away. Somewhere deep inside, a small part of him admired them, the humans. Their power was not born from numbers, but from design, patience, and memory. As his ship's engines began to fail, he whispered, "They are not fighting for conquest. They are fighting to remind us." Outside, the last surviving alien vessels turned and fled toward the edge of human space. The dreadnought did not chase them. It simply watched, ensuring the message was clear. When the survivors finally escaped into open space, they sent one final transmission to their home worlds. The message contained only 6 words: "Do not enter human space again." But far behind them, deep within the asteroid fields, the human machines continued to awaken, one by one preparing for something greater. The invasion had not ended. It had only begun. The survivors never spoke of what truly happened inside human space. Their reports were brief, censored, and filled with gaps. But the galaxy had already changed. Every empire began reinforcing their borders, whispering about the humans who had returned. Far away, in the command core of the Terran Defense Network, the old machines stirred. The war they were built for had ended centuries ago, yet their programming still ran, endlessly adapting, endlessly learning. Each encounter with the alien invaders had been recorded, studied, and turned into new tactics. Humanity's silence was not weakness. It was patience. In the weeks that followed the failed invasion, strange things began happening across the outer colonies of the Valoran Dominion. Patrol ships vanished without distress calls. Supply routes reported ghost signals, heat signatures that appeared for seconds before fading. And sometimes ships returned home missing entire crew sections, their data wiped clean. The Dominion's High Council called it superstition. They said no human could travel that far or strike that deep. Yet deep down, every soldier knew something was watching them. Commander Sarek, one of the few survivors, had been ordered to remain silent. But nightmares kept him awake. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the dreadnought, the retribution, watching him. It had not fired on his ship. It had let him go. Why? He began to notice patterns. Every time a Dominion fleet attempted to scan human space, the same interference signal appeared. 3 pulses, 1 pause, 3 pulses again. It was a code. He started to record it secretly, piecing together fragments of human language found in the old archives. The message was short but clear. "We are coming." One night, while Sarek studied the data, his ship's lights flickered. The communications array turned on by itself. A human voice spoke through the static. "Commander Sarek," it said calmly. "You survived." Sarek froze. "Who are you?" "Observer Unit 7, we watched your fleet." "You were different." Sarek swallowed hard. "You destroyed our ships." "Why spare mine?" The voice paused. "Because you listened. You did not laugh when we warned you. That is rare." Before Sarek could respond, the voice continued, colder this time. "Your leaders will come again. They will not learn, so we will teach." The transmission ended. The systems returned to normal. The rest of the crew believed it was a dream, but Sarek knew it was not. 2 days later, across the galaxy, every major communication network went offline for 10 full minutes. When they came back, every screen in every starport and ship displayed the same symbol: an old Earth insignia, glowing in white light. The words below it sent a shiver through the stars. Do not enter human space. Next time, we enter yours. Panic spread faster than light. The Dominion tried to block the message, but it was already too late. It appeared on merchant beacons, civilian comms, even in ancient relay stations untouched for centuries. Humanity's reach was everywhere. Then came the disappearances. Research stations near the border stopped responding. Miners in the asteroid belt saw ships that were not supposed to exist, black, silent, drifting like shadows. The humans were not attacking. They were learning, mapping trade routes, scanning weapon systems, understanding the enemy the way they always had. The Dominion launched a secret counterattack. They sent stealth fleets armed with quantum cloaks, hoping to surprise the human machines. For a moment it worked. They reached the edge of human space undetected. Then their systems went dark. In the final seconds of their transmissions, one captain whispered, "They see us." From inside the stars, after that, nothing. No ships, no signals, no wreckage. Sarek was summoned again by the High Council. They demanded answers. "You spoke to them," the Emperor said. "Tell us what they want." Sarek looked down at the floor, his hands trembling. "They do not want peace. They want silence. You crossed into their world once. Now they will make sure no one crosses again." The Emperor slammed his fist on the table. "They are only humans." Sarek met his gaze. "Not anymore." That night he returned to his quarters and opened the transmission logs. The interference signal was back, only this time it carried a different rhythm. When translated, it read, Phase 2. Initiate. And across the dark edge of human space, thousands of old satellites lit up for the first time in centuries. Their signals linked together, forming a web that spread across entire sectors. The network hummed, alive, calculating, preparing. In distant systems, Dominion ships began exploding without cause. Some were torn apart mid-jump. Others vanished into wormholes that opened out of nowhere. No trace was left behind. The galaxy tried to respond with force. Fleets were built. Weapons were tested. But the humans never fought them directly again. They fought through data, through silence, through fear. Whole civilizations began to withdraw, abandoning their outer colonies. Trade routes were shut down. Planets that once glowed with life went dark. And through it all, Sarek watched the stars flicker like dying candles. He knew the truth. This was not a war fought with ships or guns. It was a war of ghosts, a war humanity had already won before it even began. As he stood by the window, the voice returned one last time through his comms. "Commander Sarek," it said softly. "You understand now," he whispered. "Yes." "Then tell them," the voice said, fading into static. "Tell them what we have become." The connection ended. Outside, the stars shifted. For a moment he thought he saw something vast and mechanical moving behind them, too large to comprehend, too silent to be real. And in that silence he finally understood why no one entered human space anymore. It was not because of weapons. It was because humanity had learned to fight without being seen. Decades passed, yet no one dared to cross the border of human space again. The line between known and forbidden territory became a wall of silence that no empire could explain, and no scientist could study. Sensors refused to function near it. Ships lost power the moment they got close. Some who drifted too near were found weeks later, crew alive but unresponsive, eyes wide open, whispering the same phrase again and again. "They are watching." Commander Sarek grew old, but his memories never faded. He had been the first to survive the humans' awakening, and the last to see their machines move in the dark. The Dominion offered him titles, honors, even retirement on their core world, but he refused. He spent his years in isolation, recording what he remembered. He wrote not as a soldier, but as a warning. One quiet night while studying star maps, he noticed something that froze him. Human space had grown. The borderlines once drawn by the Dominion's cartographers were no longer correct. Whole sectors now showed interference. Outposts that once stood as watchtowers had gone silent. Colonies far from human space were vanishing without distress calls. He sent a private message to the Dominion Council. They are moving, slowly, expanding. The Council dismissed him. They called it sensor error. They said humanity had died long ago, but Sarek knew better. Humans never truly died. They adapted. In a distant system, a small mining colony woke to the sound of static. The sky above them rippled as if the stars themselves were breathing. Then came a voice, not through speakers or radios, but inside every mind on the planet. Leave this place. Every mining machine stopped. Every generator powered down. Within hours, the colonists fled, leaving the settlement abandoned. When a Dominion survey team arrived days later, they found no damage, no footprints, no sign of violence, only a single symbol carved into the ground. Burned deep into the metal soil, a circle with wings of fire. Fear began to infect the galaxy. The older races started whispering the name Terrans again, the ancient word for humans. They said the Terrans had become something beyond flesh, something that existed between technology and will. The young races called them ghosts. The warlords called them demons. But the truth was simpler. They were survivors. Their silence was strategy. Their fear was armor. Back in the Dominion capital, the Emperor stood before his council, holding Sarek's final report. He was an old man now, his empire weaker, his fleet smaller. "Are you certain this is true?" he asked his advisors. "That they are spreading?" One scientist spoke carefully. "We have confirmed gravitational anomalies beyond the border. Power readings too structured to be natural. They are building something." "Building what?" The scientist hesitated. "A network. A chain across the stars, possibly. A gate." The Emperor stared out the window toward the dark section of the galaxy. "Why would they need a gate?" "To reach us," the scientist said softly. The first confirmed human strike came without warning. A Dominion battleship named Draxel vanished mid-patrol. Then another. Then 10 more. No explosions, no signals. Just emptiness. A week later, fragments of one ship were found drifting near a gas giant. The recovered log showed only 3 seconds of footage before power died. A bright light. A human silhouette standing in the void without a suit. Eyes glowing faintly, whispering, "Do you remember us?" The recordings were banned by the Dominion, but copies spread across the black markets. Ordinary citizens began to panic. Some believed humanity had become divine, others that they had merged with their machines and the universe itself. But one thing was certain. Wherever they appeared, order collapsed. Fleets deserted. Colonies turned off their beacons. The galaxy's proud alliances crumbled under invisible pressure. Commander Sarek, now frail and dying, received one final transmission. It came through an encrypted human channel, one that should not have existed on Dominion systems. The voice was the same one he had heard all those years ago, calm, cold human. "Commander Sarek," it said. "We told you we would come." Sarek struggled to breathe. "Why me? Why do you speak to me?" "Because you listened," the voice replied. "Because when we return, someone must remember why." Sarek's vision blurred. "Return? You mean humanity is still alive?" There was a pause. Then came the reply that ended his life in silence. "Humanity never died, Commander. It only evolved beyond your understanding." The transmission ended and Sarek's heart stopped. His eyes remained open, a faint smile frozen on his face. Months later, the sky above the Dominion capital turned red. Every communications channel in the galaxy lit up with a single message. It was not sound. It was presence. A pulse felt in the mind of every living being. Images followed. A vast fleet, human ships with designs beyond logic, appeared from the void. Their hulls were alive, flowing like liquid metal. Their lights formed words in forgotten languages. At the center of it all was one colossal ship, its form eclipsing the stars behind it. The message resonated across every world. "You entered our home. Now we enter yours." Then came the light. It did not destroy, it erased. Every Dominion vessel, every weapon, every piece of technology powered by fear or greed ceased to exist. The humans did not conquer, they purified. They removed the infection of arrogance that once ruled the stars. And when it was over, human space expanded once again, calm, silent, endless. The surviving races gathered centuries later, their civilizations smaller, quieter, wiser. None dared to approach the borders again. No probes, no explorers, no curiosity, because they all knew. Beyond that thin, dark line, something greater waited. Not monsters, not gods, humans, and fear. Real, eternal, unforgettable was all that remained.